On June 12, 2018, hundreds gathered at Pulse nightclub for a loving tribute to the 49 people who were killed there 2 years earlier. The mayors of Orlando and Orange County spoke, praising the community for its unity in the tragedy's aftermath.
There is no amount of evil that could turn back the overwhelming, enormous reaction of the human spirit and the heart and soul of who we are innately as human beings.
Each of us has the responsibility and the duty to decide how we're going to create the Pulse legacy, how we're going to honor the victims, how we're going to honor the families, and one another by words and, more importantly, actions.
A video montage featured the family members of the victims reading their names and telling their stories.
My brother, Stanley Almodovar III.
Amanda Lisette Alvear.
Daryl DJ Burt.
Rodolfo Ayala Ayala.
The Orlando Gay Chorus performed a moving a cappella rendition of John Lennon's Imagine.
Imagine all the people, imagine all the people living life in peace.
2 days earlier, about 10 people gathered at the Plaza Live for a much smaller vigil with a similar goal: to remember a life unjustly taken.
Christina's story was a little bit overshadowed by Pulse. Understandable, but at the same time, we just want to make sure that those who aren't aware of what happened are suddenly, reminded, and that they know that there weren't just 49 people. That weekend there were 50 really killed in shootings, and we just want people to know that we love Christina and that her life and her story matter.
Danielle Hendricks, who we spoke to in episode 3, hadn't followed Grimmie's career closely before attending the June 10, 2016 show in Orlando, where the talented young singer was killed. But since then, she and other fans, known as Team Grimmie, have done their part to keep Christina's legacy and her music alive.
I think most of us would have plans to be back here. I guess every year, as long as most of us can. It's important just to keep, having a presence and letting people know that she's not forgotten and we won't forget her.
Rihanna Nemiroff, who helped organize the meetup, had been a fan of Christina Grimmie years before her death. She met the singer in Las Vegas in 2014.
She was one of the most loving people I've ever come across. And it felt right. It felt like it was sort of a calling. So I started, posting on Twitter, seeing if there were other people around Florida or Orlando that would want to come. And we kind of just got together, did like polls for what times would be best for people, and organized that last year. And then I wanted to do it again this year because it was really special, because none of us knew each other when we came here last year. And now we've developed really lovely friendships, and we wouldn't have that without Christina.
Christina Grimmie died at the Plaza Live, but Team Grimmie has continued to grow. Her family has nurtured that following in her absence, releasing new music the 22-year-old star of YouTube and NBC's The Voice had recorded prior to her death.
The 2-year anniversary it's important to me because honestly, I will be here every year. Even if other people aren't able to make it, I'm gonna be here because Christina deserves it. She deserves to be remembered, and it's wonderful when people walk by, they don't know why we're here, they think we're waiting for a show, and we get to explain to them and kind of bring that up to them, and it's a little bit of an awareness and continuing her legacy, which has been the biggest thing since day one.
But Grimmie's killing has also left behind darkness and pain. For some fans who went to the Plaza Live for a pop concert, the trauma of Christina Grimmie's shocking death lingers.
The weird part is when you have PTSD, you look back on the way you were before it happened, and it's kind of like trying to look through a piece of glass that's covered in mud. It's hard to even remember who I was back then.
From the Orlando Sentinel, this is Christina Grimmie, the murder of a rising star. In this 5-episode series, we are taking you behind the police tape in one of Orlando's most shocking killings, which happened during perhaps the darkest weekend in the history of the City Beautiful. I'm Breaking News Editor Jeff Weiner. Episode 5, Never Forgotten. I won't be another ghost. No, I won't be invisible. So begins the chorus for Invisible, the single released in February 2017 by the Grimmie family.
Check your vision, see what you're missing, boy. I don't need your permission to go on existing with or without you, boy.
The song has become a favorite among fans, including Nemiroff, for its themes of resilience and perseverance.
One of my absolute favorite songs of hers is Invisible. And it's like the lyrics, they're almost haunting because they're so beautiful. And, you know, she says, I won't be another ghost, I won't be invisible, and, you know, I won't be eclipsed. And it's true.
I won't be diminished, eclipsed, or hidden, Grimmie sings on the track. You're gonna see my light blaze back to life, like the phoenix rise. A month after the song's release, Christina's family posted an animated music video to her YouTube page. The video features Grimmie as a superhero with a magical hoverboard who battles monsters to restore power to a futuristic city. The success of the track contributed to another element of Grimmie's lasting legacy. The proceeds helped to launch the Christina Grimmie Foundation, a nonprofit the family established in her memory. The foundation has two causes. First, to provide financial and emotional support to families suffering after incidents of gun violence. Second, to support those diagnosed with breast cancer, a cause close to Christina, as her mother has battled the disease. Detective Michael Mareshi, who we spoke to in episode 4, has stayed in touch with the Grimmie family since investigating her killing.
Christina's case was as heartbreaking as any case I've ever worked because, you know, take away, you know, who she was. The bottom line is she was she was 22 years old, very talented, just a loving, great family. And you could, to this day, you know, when I talk with them and I keep in touch with their family, you know, the loss is always there. So, you know, we talk about you know, you're gonna get personally involved in your cases if you do this job, and you know, it's just part of it.
His connection with the Grimmies offered a ray of hope to another suffering family last year, when Mareshi reached out to them for help while investigating the killing of a single mother.
Back in October of last year, I had a single mother named Radia Houghton who got murdered, and she left 3 kids. And fortunately for those 3 kids, that's another outstanding family. And the grandmother started adoption and guardianship, you know, process for her grandkids, so she could, you know, care for them. And there's one of the unforeseen things in homicide is there's a cost involved in that. And so I contacted the Grimmie family and knew that one of the things they were raising all this money and they needed a way to get it to the people that needed it. And, you know, I talked to them and they cut them a check, and it was really just a great thing to like help out a family in need like that. So they're doing some great things with in her name.
In a YouTube video announcing the creation of the foundation, her brother Mark and parents Bud and Tina said they were inspired to launch the nonprofit after they were contacted by Adam Levine, the Maroon 5 lead singer and Christina's coach on The Voice.
We're being carried by Christina's legacy and how awesome she was, so we're gonna match that and then try and increase it tenfold. That's our goal.
We didn't want the shooting to be the end of the story.
The family has also taken legal action, arguing the security at the Plaza Live was inadequate on the night Christina was killed. The lawsuit names the concert's promoter, AEG, and the Orlando Philharmonic Foundation, which owns the venue. The lawsuit seeks compensation for income Christina would have made had she not been killed, as well as the emotional and physical trauma her brother Mark experienced by witnessing his sister's death. Reporter Michael Williams has covered the lawsuit for the Orlando Sentinel.
The family alleges that there wasn't enough security at the venue, although the venue had previously, during previous concerts, done full body pat-downs and sort of metal detectors and things like that. For Christina's concert, they only did bag checks.
While the venue is fighting the lawsuit, it has also changed its security procedures for live events. Trevor Frazier covers entertainment for the Sentinel.
Now there is a single entrance that every person who's going to see a show must go in through the metal detectors. There's a metal detector for every show, be it the Philharmonic or an out-of-town act or a local act. There are, security screeners there, and the acts that perform, there is security around them the whole time. Even if they were to say want to come out and meet fans, there are security procedures in place, for them to be taken care of.
Those measures were already in place at many larger venues. Danielle Hendricks said she hopes theaters of all sizes will learn from what happened to Grimmie.
It really needs to be taken seriously, and it's not always taken seriously at the venues that I attend. Like when I was there that night, security had just sticks and they just did a quick poke through the bags and sent you on. We weren't allowed to bring granola bars or water bottles. They didn't even have the metal detectors that they waved around your body. That could have stopped easily this guy from getting in there and just doing harm.
The lessons law enforcement can take from a case like Christina's are more complicated. Police found no evidence that her killer, Kevin James Loibel, had ever expressed a desire to do her harm before traveling to Orlando with deadly intentions. His obsession with her grew in the solitude of his darkened bedroom. While he talked about her enough to alarm his only friend, Corey Dennington, Loibel's brother and father told Mareshi they'd never heard him mention the young singer. The Grimmies had no reason to suspect Christina was in danger.
Marcus was also her road manager, so when we interviewed him, we'd asked him about any problems, anything about her saying about creepy guys on the internet or anything like that, and no. And I had asked him, had you ever seen this guy at previous stops? He said no, and we were able to examine Christina's phone after the fact, and there was nothing in there to indicate that this guy had ever reached out to her or attempted to reach out to her.
According to Mike Proctor, a retired detective and stalking expert we spoke to in episode 2, the ubiquity of information available online about many people, and especially celebrities, enables toxic obsession while making it harder to detect serious threats.
It's not confidential information anymore. I mean, everybody's information is out there to a great degree, and these people spend an inordinate amount of time gathering that information. And so their whole life is a fantasy that revolves around this particular target. In this case, it was Christina, unfortunately.
Proctor says more training is needed for police in the art of threat assessment and how to determine when a person's strange behavior has the potential to escalate to violence.
I guarantee you when law enforcement starts doing that, more and more of them are starting to do that, you stop the crime before it happens. And that's what's going to have to happen. It's going to take money and more training, but it's going to have to happen. Or a lot of the stuff, whether it's stalking or your school shootings or any of those things, that's all threat assessment involved. They're not going to slow down.
Earlier this year, police were able to intervene when another man came to Orlando armed with a weapon and an apparent obsession with another famed singer. 43-year-old Michael Sean Hunt took a taxi to Orlando from Riverview in early February for a concert featuring pop singer Lana Del Rey, but police were waiting for him when he arrived. They had gotten a tip about disturbing videos and posts on his Facebook page, where he talked about his plans to get together and be as one with the singer, who he called his queen. When he was arrested outside the Amway Center, Hunt was carrying a 3-inch folding knife. In an interview with police, he ranted and raved, telling detectives he created them and had the power to control animals with his touch.
everyone knows I have become, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, I created you. It might sound crazy to you, but I put something in all of you to make you know who created you. Okay. All right? Now, as far as Lana goes, yes, sir. Things about her woke me up, words that she sung. I drew some paintings, and I wanted to show them to her at the show. If there's some kind of threat, there's no way. I adore that woman. I have no threat whatsoever. Anybody would tell you that. Go look at my Facebook wall. Okay. Go look at my Facebook wall, man. Come on, guys. Do some logical thinking here.
Hunt is charged with aggravated stalking with a credible threat and carrying a concealed weapon as a convicted felon. His case is currently on hold while he undergoes a psychological examination. Dr. Chris Mohandi, a forensic psychologist and expert on stalking cases we spoke to in episode 2, said it's crucial to get help if someone you know begins showing signs of unhealthy obsession.
Most law enforcement agencies have detectives that are now trained to recognize this. If there is a problem that you have or that you know somebody that has, please help them reach out for assistance from law enforcement. The sooner that you get help from law enforcement, the better.
In episode 3, Erin Westfall talked about how the June 10th, 2016 concert at the Plaza Live was supposed to be a step toward her independence. Westfall had long struggled with depression and anxiety, and it was the first concert she had attended without her mom or sister. As she watched Loibl take his own life, something inside her snapped.
The really, really, really bad part lasted about 2 weeks. It got to a point where I didn't eat for 3 days. I ended up attacking a loved one. My hair was a mess, so I ended up cutting part of it off. I really didn't leave my room. It was sort of like a cave where everything was. Like, if I had to eat, I would go get the food from the kitchen and I would take it to my room to eat. If I had to go to the bathroom, I would try to go to the bathroom when no one else was there or when everyone else was sitting down or talking or doing something else so that I could avoid them at all costs. And like, just, yeah, it was bad. Just showering, eating, general self-management was at like an all-time low for 2 weeks.
Her first concert alone may be her last.
Honestly, after this, I'm never going to be able to go to like another concert again, at least not comfortably.
Her fans, friends, and family have worked to ensure that Christina Grimmie is remembered for more than her death, with a legacy built on music, community, and charity. But for fans who were there the night she was killed, the shock and horror left a legacy too.
At first, I was scared to go anywhere, like scared to go to a restaurant or the grocery store or whatever, because, you just think this could happen anywhere, because I never expected it to happen at a concert that I was at. And then, it could happen anywhere.
As she described in episode 3, Mackenzie Barrett initially mistook the gunshots that killed Christina Grimmie for the sound of balloons popping. Now, loud noises fill her with dread.
The worst things for me are hearing things that sound kind of like gunshots, specifically fireworks, but every once in a while there'll be like a truck backfiring or something, and it will just kind of like take me back, and then I get into like big time panic mode and start crying, and it's hard to breathe, and it's terrifying.
Barrett has been to a concert again, but it wasn't easy.
When I finally did go back to a concert, my friend who had been right there next to the shooting and I, we both went to the concert. I did have a little breakdown in the bathroom before like the full show started, because I was scared, but I also wanted to, see the singer and just try to have fun, because concerts were always like my happy place.
Many of Christina's fans have found comfort in each other, sharing old jokes the singer would make online and telling stories about her concerts. They remind each other that there are many people, spread far and wide, who remember Christina Grimmie and still celebrate her. For fans like Rihanna Nemiroff, keeping that legacy alive is a labor of love and a source of solace. Proof that Christina Grimmie, as she sang in Invisible, will never be a ghost.
We interact all the time. People post their pictures with her. They post their favorite pictures of her. And when her family releases new songs, they spread like wildfire because we're all so excited. And it's really amazing and very kind of her family to do that for us. You know, some of this stuff that I could see them keeping for themselves as something special, but they care enough about Team Grimmie to share those things with us. And that means the world to us. Every time a new single comes out or a new EP or a new album, we're all over it, we're all streaming it, we're all sharing it, posting memes about it. It's a really great time. And if you just go through like hashtag Team Grimmie tag on Twitter or search Christina Grimmie, you'll get so many fan pages and all sorts of people that post updates about things. You know, I've had people that run fan accounts in like, in Europe retweet some of my tweets to try to spread the word just in case, they have followers that might live around here. And last year we had people from all over Florida come. We had people from Miami, we have people from Plant City, people from Orlando, and just it's astounding to see how many people are still around and still care. She deserves to be remembered for everything she did in her 22 years, all of the accolades she earned, all of the wonderful things she did for charities and for her fans or her friends. And she was just a really loving person. No matter who you were, no matter what you believed, no matter what you did, as long as you had a good heart, she loved you all the same. It was just amazing.
This was the final episode of Christina Grimmie, The Murder of a Rising Star. Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it, please rate us on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends about our show. They can find it at orlandosentinel.com/Christina Grimmie, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or their favorite podcast platform. To see photos, videos, and to read more about the case, go right now to orlandosentinel.com/Christina Grimmie. Christina Grimmie, The Murder of a Rising Star, was written and reported by Kayla O'Brien, Wesley Alden, and your host, me, Jeff Weiner, and based in part on reporting by Crystal Hayes. Editing, sound engineering, and production by Kayla and Wesley. Executive producers are Lisa Chauncey and Roger Simmons. Graphics by Rich Pope. Hi, this is Jeff Weiner. If you would like to support more local journalism like this, you can help by becoming a digital subscriber to the Orlando Sentinel, Central Florida's leading source for news, information, and entertainment. Visit orlandosentinel.com/subscribe.